From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a tropical weather update.
Fred Gossage here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center on this Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, with your daily regularly scheduled tropical weather update. As you've seen the past couple days, the system that we were watching for tropical development last week out in the Atlantic fizzled in the dry air across the area, and it's quiet across the Atlantic. National Hurricane Center not highlighting any areas for tropical development for at least the next 7 days across the Atlantic. So we're going to be quiet, which is unusual for this time of year. Tomorrow is the climatological peak of the Atlantic hurricane season. One of the main reasons why the system that we were watching out in the Atlantic couldn't really get its act together and develop all this dry air here, the brown and the orange and the dark blacks that you see here on water vapor satellite, that's deep layered dry air in the atmosphere, and that kind of evaporated the system, and we started to see signs that things weren't quite right with it toward the second half of last week, and sure enough, it evaporated and it's no longer on the board. We're no longer expecting that to be a developing system as we go forward. Otherwise, you also see an upper low in the Western Caribbean that's providing a lot of upper level wind shear across the Western Caribbean into parts of the Western Atlantic. So we have several inhibiting factors here in place for organized tropical development, and that may not change anytime soon. There are some clusters of showers and thunderstorms out here in the Gulf and the Western Atlantic and the Western Caribbean, but it's not associated with systems that are trying to develop into tropical systems. It's all either tied up with frontal boundaries or upper level lows, and none of that going to develop into any type of tropical system. We do have some tropical wave activity out here into the western part of Africa and rolling off the coast into the eastern Atlantic, but no signs of immediate development out here as we head through the next 7, 10, maybe 14 days, maybe into that latter 10 days of the month and heading into early October. The MJO, the global wind circulation, gets a little more favorable. However, like we've seen with it not being too active here and the system last week falling apart, there are several things that are just off in the ingredients so far this year for an active hurricane season, and it's looking like we're not going to wrap up anytime particularly soon. The next name on the list is Gabrielle, and then we have Umberto, Imelda, Jerry, and Karen. We'll see how far we get down the list, but not expecting anything overly crazy here within the next 7, 10, maybe 14 days. And like I said, that's a little bit unusual for us to be this quiet at this time of the year. It can happen. It's nothing unheard of. It's just not what normally happens based on long-term climatology. Tomorrow is the climatological peak of the Atlantic hurricane season, and we're usually a bit more active this time of year, but we have the dust and the dry air in place. We have the wind shear in place. We have the sea surface temperatures that, yes, they are at face value supportive of development in the Atlantic basin, but they're not as above normal as they have been the past few years. And also that not as above normal water being located south in the Atlantic, and then warmer waters north of that kind of throws off the global wind circulation a little bit and makes it not quite as favorable for a hyperactive season. I do expect additional storms to form, and there will probably be additional hurricanes, but not looking hyperactive as we go through the rest of the season. If you watched us here this season, we haven't really been expecting a hyperactive season this year. We've been thinking more of an average season, and honestly, it's starting to look like that may be a little bit of a question mark as well. We do climatologically stay active as we head through the rest of September, through the first half of October, before things start to back off and the hurricane season officially ends at the end of November. We'll continue to watch things, but nothing on the board for right now. Next regularly scheduled tropical update comes with Kelly Rawson tomorrow morning, Wednesday, September 10th at 7 a.m. Central Time.